I want to plug that light in, but I can't reach it. But I can reach that door. I'm not that short. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you're here. Jimmy, we're making it work. Believe me when I say we are making it work. Some days it's a struggle. Some days it's all sunshine and roses. But either way, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna learn things. We're gonna have fun. We gotta have drama, suspense, excitement, action. All kinds of things happen on this channel. If you're new here, buckle up. We're gonna have some fun. I gotta finish getting the shop open up first. Been pretty busy. A little hectic lately. Kind of like, you know, when you're at work, you kind of like to have some kind of a flow and listen to race bikes going by at 130 miles an hour. You gotta wind mom's 250 out, let that thing breathe. Welcome to Kissimmee. We like to have fun on this channel, you can probably tell. But we also like to fix stuff. I like helping people out, getting their cars going, and I make a living doing it. So it works out pretty well for everybody, at least from my perspective. I hope you guys feel the same way. Let's finish getting this place open. It's gonna be a beautiful 80 or so degree day today. It's about 65 right now, beautiful morning. Hope it is beautiful also where you're at. I'm gonna finish getting this open so we can get started. Let's stop flapping and get to work. Stay tuned. First things first this morning, this is the one that rattles and smokes at startup. I tried it hot, it didn't do anything. Now we're gonna try it after sitting overnight. Cold. It's a little noisy, but I wouldn't say rattling. It's definitely not smoking. I'm not sure what's going on with this car. It's still not doing much of anything. Let's see if we're going to keep playing with it. I think I got a Colorado to look at. Let's see if that one's productive. Where would we put it? 2017. Oh, there it is. 2017 Colorado. AC blows warm sometimes. It looks like oil or smoke from the right side. Nice looking truck. Z71. Harley Davidson mats. I miss my Harley. Riding a motorcycle, man, on a nice 70-75 degree day. When you're not surrounded by tourists trying to kill you. So nice. Let's get this thing in the shop, take a look. Sistema de Montero de Lantas Descartar. Check engine lights on. No idea how many miles because it doesn't show. Oh, I'm guessing it's saying overdue for an oil change in Espagnoli. So I'm going to find the mileage. I'm going to give it a love rating of 4. I'm going to get it in the shop and see. I don't think we're even looking at the check engine light today. It's not going to stop me from putting a scanner on it anyway. I'll do it for free if I have to. Poor truck. 147,765 miles. There it goes. Took a second. I'm gonna let it run a second. I don't want to get this thing too hot, but I want to see if I'm getting some kind of air conditioning, and I am not. It's cool out still. It's only about 70 degrees, so feels like it's blowing about 70 degrees out the dash. Let's get under the hood, take a look, throw the scanner on this thing, at least see what kind of codes we got. We're not supposed to do an engine diag. Let's get that thing cooking and take a look around at this thing. Yeah, it's definitely got leaking valve covers. Pretty common. It leaks, goes down on the exhaust and makes a little smoke. Exhaust cam bank 1, exhaust cam bank 2. That's a position system, not a solenoid, so the cam sensor is saying something's not right with where both exhaust cams are. That's a little strange. The oil's not quite a quart low, but it's pretty clean. Very strange. Since he doesn't want to mess with it, I'm not going to focus on it. We're just going to make notes about it. And we're going to let him know about the valve covers leaking. And I got to get this AC checked. Customer said sometimes it's not cold. And I'm thinking it's a little low on refrigerants. The only thing I see wrong. Nothing terrible. So let's look around, see if we can see some dye. Find a small leak maybe. This is 1234YF. This is the expensive stuff. So I'm going to look around, see if I can spot some dye. And if I do, I will show you. Well, I could not find any leaks. So I said, let me just pull the refrigerant out of it, see if it's full. And it looks like it was. So the pressures are looking kind of weird. I'm suspecting something going on with the compressor potentially. We're going to charge it back up and we dig a little deeper into this. Some might call it a Chevy. Maybe it's a monstrosity. It's one of those. Well, she was kicking and screaming. That machine did not want to give the customer the refrigerant back. But we got it. Not sure why the machine was misbehaving like that. I had to tell a couple little white lies, which I don't like doing it, but the machine made me do it. Now, it's freezing cold. This was on 70 earlier, if you saw that, but the auto wasn't selected and it was blowing kind of, it felt like air temperature. I noticed here it shows 61 degrees. It's nowhere near 61 out there. It's more like 73, 74, I would guess. Let's put up some HVAC data. Possibly the ambient air temp sensor is skewed a little bit. If it thinks it's warmer, if it thinks it's colder than it is, then it won't let the AC get really cold because it's trying to do what you're asking it, basically. So we're going to take a look at some data once I bring that up. Air duct temperature sensors, windshield temperature, left sensor, engine coolant temperature, ambient air filtered, which usually means some kind of processed data, high side pressure, and evap temperature sensor. Now, if any of those are skewed, and obviously right now the air is working great. It feels like it's blowing about 40 degrees, I would guess. If any of these sensors are skewed, it might not let it work. High side pressure 205, evaporator 41 degrees. What'd I say, 40? And honestly, I did not look at that before, so I just threw a number out there. It's what it feels like to me. Windshield temperature 75. That's more like what it is. The truck's been sitting inside here for quite a while. About 2 hours it's been in the shop. I literally wasted an hour trying to get refrigerant back in the car. That was the customer's refrigerant, but the machine kept saying it had a leak. I think the machine might have been leaking. It's hard to say. In any event, we know it was full because it had the 1.3 pounds, which is what it calls for. So basically what I'm going to need to do is get this to not work, because he says sometimes it feels like it blows warm. And it could possibly be because the threshold of the temperatures isn't far enough apart for it to put the air on really cold. Maybe. I smell gas. Someone messing with gas? That must be Joe. So I'm going to let this run a little bit. I mean, why not? We got almost 2 hours in it already. Let it run a little bit, see if it does anything weird. We'll keep an eye on these data PIDs. I'm mostly interested in if the evap freezes, it'll get warm. If the high side pressure gets too high, it'll turn off the compressor. If the ambient air sensor, well, that's what shows 61 degrees. 61 degrees. So if something's going on with that, we'll have to get it to do something when the air stops working and see if the sensors aren't happy. There's no codes in the module. With an automatic module, you can check it for codes and all. And I did it in the health report and directly in that one module just in case. Sometimes the health report, very rarely, but sometimes it'll miss one. And you go in the module directly and it'll show you there's a code. So I always do it both ways just in case, especially if I know I've got a problem in that area. So let's let this run and we'll come back. Kind of slow today so far. Hopefully it's not going to be too short of a video. You see that steam? I don't think that's oil burning. Could it be? That's the smoke the customer's talking about, I think, but I don't know if that shows up, but Yeah, it must be this. Must be off this exhaust manifold. Got a lot of Earl on it from that leaking valve cover. I thought I saw steam coming from the overflow, but it's full. And there's nothing coming out from around the cap. Alright, I was wondering if maybe that was something to do with the AC getting warm intermittently, but... Alright, moving on. 2010 Honda Accord. Got oil leaks, and they want the tires rotated and the brakes checked. 201, oh, got a new alternator. 201,000 miles. Got custom hot rod racing wheels and stuff. 201,000. I opened that to get the wheel lock. Got a love rating of 5. And we're gonna take a look around, see what we can see on this thing. Tire rotation, then they might need brakes, they said. Check the brakes. We gotta do an inspection, and Colorado's got an extended warranty, so sometimes that takes a couple of days to get done with them, so we'll see what happens with that one. What's up? There might be some other things that happen that I'm not sure if I told you. Like the one Honda Pilot the other day, that he took his alternator out himself. He took it out because he said he thought it wasn't charging. He saw his headlights flicker, and then he couldn't get it back together, so he brought it here and I put it back together and it was charging good. He took it, drove back to Miami. I told him, if your lights flicker, it doesn't mean your alternator is bad automatically. Could be a lot of things. So he drove it home. Not sure if there was any others. But we're going to lift this up and take a look and see what the tires and brakes look like and stuff. And we're going to find oil leaks too. Oh yeah, we're clearing out that back lawn area. All the dodges coming out of the grass. I said something about a brake check on this thing, but got all brand new brakes on it. I'm going to get these tires on and torqued, and then we'll focus on the oil leaks. These are usually the cam control solenoid or VTEC solenoid assembly, whatever you want to call it. But we'll see. It's surprisingly dry under here. I mean, there's a little dampness. You can see a little dampness from the rear main, a little dampness from what looks like the oil filter housing. Someone's done water pump, timing belt. Looks like the heads might have been off of this thing. I want to say someone's had the heads off of it or something. Strange, but it's not really leaking very bad. There's not even a drip of oil. It's just damp to look at. When you look at it, you go, oh, it's leaking, but that's not really a leak. Not to me. Not in my world.
I can make that on lunch. I think we should all go. Next. Love me some white cat. I miss the.
When's the last time you seen a 2013 Hyundai Equus? I thought I'd be working on that 69 Mustang by now, but we got another weird one I gotta look at first. Doesn't start, doesn't crank, and someone's been coming up with some cool ways to try to make it crank. They got wires running to the car and they were jumping them into the fuse box, trying to force it to crank. 2013 Hyundai Equus. It's been lowered. It's sweet. It's got 200,000 miles on it and a love rating of 3. Poor thing. They said something about a cooling system concern and a no start concern. Not necessarily in that order, because if it doesn't start, what does it matter what kind of shape the cooling system's in? Let's see if we can find. I'm gonna get in the fuse panel, find the starter relay. It doesn't do anything when you push the start button. Could even be just a problem with the button, something like that. We're gonna take a look. Maybe I'll put a scanner on it. Once you verify the fuses are good, I'll put a scanner on it and see if it's seeing the commands, that kind of thing. Well, there has been a do-it-yourselfer in here. Obviously with the wires they custom ran. I don't know why that relay's broken. This one here should be the start relay. Let's put a light on for you guys. Third relay up, start. And this fuse here is a start fuse, start relay. And the fuse actually looks good. It's a 30 amp jobber. Let's plug in the scanner, make sure the ECU is even coming to the party. Could be nothing related to a starting circuit. If the computer's not awake, it doesn't care what button you push, right? Well, oh, look at the check engine lights dim. That's kind of strange. Penguin fell over. Let's fix that. Notice how much dimmer the check engine light is than the others. Could not mean a thing for all I know, but make a note. Let's get in there and try to talk to it. 198,316 is the exact mileage. Anyone curious? Probably gonna put the charger on this thing. Let's see what the voltage is real quick. If we're over 12 volts still, we got a few minutes. As long as the battery's good. 2013 Equus Signature Ultimate. Whoa. This is before Hyundai decided they needed a separate brand for their luxury line, now known as Genesis. Some people insist it's a different company, but it's not. It's Hyundai. Same as Cadillac and General Motors and Chevrolet. They're all the same, under the same umbrella. Separate entities under the same umbrella, sharing parts and third-party suppliers and all that stuff. That's another thing. Some people don't realize that every manufacturer doesn't make their entire car beginning to end. Most of the brake parts, even sometimes transmissions, electronic parts, they're all third-party sourced. Anyway, USA area. Let's bring up some data to do with starting and cranking and battery voltage and all those things, and then we'll take a look at that. Well, we got trouble. We got coolant temperature problem, random misfire, intake control solenoid circuit codes, exhaust control circuit codes, limp home mode, which probably because it got hot, 3 cylinders showing misfires, and then we got a whole bunch of other codes. I got to put the charger on it because it's 11.7 volts or so. So CAN timeout, cluster, throttle sensor abnormal. There's quite a few things. I'm going to put the charger on real quick, and we're going to pull up that cranking data and see what's going on. It's very possible they hurt the engine real bad. And I don't hear any crank, but that doesn't mean they didn't burn a starter up or something trying to get it to crank, right? I mean, they got jumper wires, and they still brought it here because they couldn't get it to crank. If you're forcing a jumper wire into the starting circuits and it's not cranking, I might be spinning my wheels here checking little things. It might be an engine. We could put a brake bar in the engine real quick, but I'm at least going to get past seeing if the button works. Alright, I'm trying to bring up some data PIDs, and I'm spotting cockroaches and spiders and stuff. Not having fun right now. Let's get out of the car, see if we can see stuff from out here. Let's see what we got so far. Brake switch. I have to be in the car for that one, sadly. So we know the brake switch isn't keeping it from cranking. Conditions for start. Let's push the start button. That's strange. It never changes condition start. It always says off. Ignition on. Immobilizer built in on. Alright. I'm not seeing a data PID I really wanted. I'm just going to go out and see if the engine turns at this point. That way I can get out of the cockroaches and spiders and stuff. Well, I found wires to the fan, and someone has done some home wiring. Oh, what could go wrong?
5 minutes to work.
And there's bars leak all over the place. Bars leak in the fan, bars leak in the radiator. I'm gonna have to take this air bellows out of here. That way I can get something on the crank. Well, it turns a little bit. Let's turn some more. Got some compression. Should be cranking. We're going back to finding out why it doesn't crank now. I feel a little better about that. We got us a Warren diagram. I pulled the starter relay out. Now what I want to do is I'll just activate the starter relay with this. I have a relay jumper thing. I got them out and it doesn't fit because they've boxed it out. And my relay kit, they're slightly larger, they don't fit. But we can do, I got a 30 amp fuse in here. We can just see if the starter works, and then we'll go from there if it does. So the starter works, so if the relay turns on, it'll crank. So now I gotta see if I'm getting my power and ground, which according to the wiring diagram, it looks like the push button goes through the PDM, through the park neutral switch, and up to the start relay, and then the ECM controls the other side. One's power, one's ground, but let's see if there's any power or ground now. I'm just going to use a test light real quick, see if what we got. I know my test light works. Ignition's on right now. I don't have anything. Let me get something in there so I know I have a good connection for my test light. I'm going to put something in the tab. It takes a pretty big blade from the relay, so I can hook something up and have my test light up here and be able to see it from the driver's seat. Because if I have to wait for you guys to tell me you see it, it's going to take a week to figure this car out. That in there. Oh, I got something now. Ignition on, I have power. I got power there. Huh. Kind of strange. Let's see if I get ground. I went over there and pushed the button and stepped on the brake and nothing happened. Where is my connection here? Let me see if I get a ground. Alright, now all I'm doing, I move my test light back and forth between positive and negative. That way I can test my connection, then put it on the circuit I need to see if I'm getting control. I'm not getting control at the relay. So now we know the fuses are all good. We know that if the relay gets energized, it probably would work. When I jump it out, the starter works. So I got to see why I'm missing a signal, probably through the park neutral switch, or that PDM component is not doing what it's supposed to do. It could be angry about the park neutral switch, that kind of thing. I really got to find the data for the cranking on the button. I don't remember seeing PDM in my computer list or module list. I'm gonna have to look again. Okay, fam. Looking at some of the wiring diagrams, I don't have communication with this PDM or power distribution module. It's supposed to be on the CAN network, and it takes the button and tells the ECM we got a start request, and it helps activate that starter relay. So I think there's something going on at the PDM. We got ECM communication. Remember I told you I couldn't find a button request because I'd have to look in the PDM to see that. So if you see in the list here, ECM, TCM, blah blah blah, no PDM. So what I want to do is look on these CAN modules that are on that circuit and see what one of these communicate and what ones don't, and check them off one by one. We got some CAN issues. Wiper module not equipped, door module not equipped, cluster module not equipped, front area module not equipped. It's supposed to be equipped with all of those. So there's a problem on this CAN circuit. It's all being pulled down by something. Possibly this interpanel module is not transmitting. I'm gonna have to go in my OBD2 port and make sure all my pins are right and see what kind of resistance I have. Something's pulling these modules all down. Power distribution module not equipped. That's why it's not starting. Whatever's stopping these all from talking is of course not going to enable it to start. That's our next phase in the operation. Whenever it doesn't talk, it takes a long time, which is normal for every scan tool, but it wants to make sure. It's like, hey, are you there? And eventually you start smacking you in the forehead. Are you there? What are you doing? Multi-function switch. Not equipped. Every single thing on this branch. Steering column module, trunk module, front back warning system, power steering, no fault code, so that's talking. But that's not on this same circuit, so I'm gonna look here and see what's coming in there and test that OBD2 port. Of course, it's talking to some modules on the OBD2 port, so I don't suspect that'll be a problem, but there's multiple branches in that port. All right, I'm like an hour and 20 minutes into this car, so they're gonna talk to the customer about getting more time to diagnose that CAN issue. Let's see what's pulling all the modules down. Could be anything from some of this custom wiring he did. Probably why his fan's not working too, but I can't just keep going. He has to give us permission for that. I took a look at this Silverado back here real quick. It's got a bad battery, no big deal. I put my jump box on and drove it up. As soon as I took my jump box off, it dies, but it's charging at 14 volts. It's got a new water pump, new tensioner, new belt, bunch of new stuff, new brakes, new tires. But it's got a bad battery now, so we'll see if they give me a battery for it. We're rolling into the end of the day here, believe it or not. Another odd day. Oh, gravy battery ticket. Let's make it happen. Putting a really good battery in it, too, an AGM. Alright, let's see here. I believe there's a couple of quick snap dealios here. Now, 10.
Well, actually, this time.
Probably pop this off too. That way I can swing this out of the way. It should be a 13 on a little rubber block holding it down here. 10 on that. What holds it? Okay, it's just laying there. That's weird. That's weird. Let's get these 10s out of here. I'm gonna end this day on an exciting battery installation. Hey, we gotta do what we gotta do to make it work. I fixed a lot of cars this week so far. Hopefully we don't have the rest of the week go the way today did, because today was not a very productive day. Oh, I want to take that other thing off of there too, so I can swing that out of the way. Alright. It's another one of those things. Big giant truck, not a lot of room. Now, that hold down block. Now this is a big old battery to lift out of here. So don't mind if I huff and puff. I'll just edit it out, put some nice relaxing music in instead, so it seems like a pleasurable job. Barely fitting out of here, I'm guessing. It's been a while since I did one of the newer trucks. Happen to have a new one right here. I always like to take these caps off and put them on the core so they don't touch each other on there, because they put all these batteries on a pallet at the parts store. And I've heard stories from friends that work at parts stores about battery fires. Ow. Watch your fingers. Boom, 0.3. Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. Why are these pushed out of the fender? Probably from the last time the battery was replaced. All of these clips are out of the fender. And you guys know that's not going to fly with me, because I'll get blamed for it, and I can't have it. I got to push all those back in now. I almost wonder if this car was in a truck was in a wreck or something. This clips in the side. Ground's not connected, so it's not technically live yet. The only thing you got to be careful of is not touching from here to here, but it won't be live from here to here because the ground's not onto the car yet. Let's do this. That's good. Let's hook that up. We'll do the ground last. Well, almost last. Alright, now it's live. You don't want to touch that to that now. This is so you don't have to take all this off for some reason. Not sure why they really added all that, but the older trucks that had it on the firewall, and I've actually seen some problems with those. Maybe that's why they did it, but I'm not sure. Now this has to go on the other side of that bracket and then under the fender. I watched the DD Speed Shop video the other day, and boy, that one where he sprayed, I don't know if you guys watch DD Speed Shop. Dan, I like Dan and Danny, they're nice people. If you haven't seen their channel, check it out. He does interesting stuff, converts 4-door cars to 2-door, and has a lot of projects going. He's always got a bunch of, he's always juggling a bunch of projects. But he primed a 55 Chevy, actually came out pretty cool, and then he sprayed it with reducer and destroyed the prime. I don't understand that, but kind of strange. And then he was putting a frame back in a 57 Chevy, and it really gave him a hard time, and he was complaining a lot because it's hard. And a couple people in the comments like, all I hear is a lot of complaining. I'm like, what do you think you just did with your comment? Anyway, this one's done. Let's go fire it up. Load rating on this one is a 4, by the way. 182,932 miles. Got like a, I can hear the transmission pump. That's not a good sign for that transmission. But he didn't ask about that. He did say, I heard some belt noise, but that's because the way the battery was behaving. This one's done. Joe's the one that did all the other work on it, by the way. I seem to get the cars after all the work is done to tighten up a couple loose ends afterwards. That's all right. That's what I'm here. Call me Loose End Jimmy. Wait, that doesn't sound right. That didn't come out the way I meant. ABS lights on. Open and close the driver's window. That's the reset procedure. Point 3. You want to definitely get your money's worth. And that should be done. Service StabiliTrak. A lot of these modern vehicles, they'll have a memory for a certain amount of time, at least. If you have the battery off, they won't lose the radio stations and stuff. So I think this one's going to go in the fence for tonight. Thanks for watching today's video, guys. I appreciate it. A lot of really great comments lately. A lot of people interested in the scam tool. So I'm gonna do the drawing for that this weekend, which gives people a little time to leave a comment if they're interested. You can comment on any of the week's videos, by the way, to be in the drawing for the D5S. I'm just going to put names in a hat and pull it out of a hat, and whoever wins it, wins it. The only people not eligible, my own family members. Everyone else, if you left a comment saying you're interested, you got a chance to win it. And I got a couple more giveaways coming up real soon, too. So look for those. Torque the like button before you head out. Subscribe if you're new. And I appreciate all the support. It's been great lately. We're getting really close to 25,000. We'll do another live stream when that happens. Hope I see you in another video. You're awesome.